Hi coaches, Lee Dunn here with another game of the week for you, and this week we're looking at 3v3's and 4v4's depending on whether you're working in 7v7 or 9v9, and the idea being that we're working on a level of defensive organization. So we'll look at compactness and we're looking at pressure and cover as well. So we start with the size of the field. We're looking at probably, as usual, about a 20 by 30, and then this could be 25 to 30 by about 40 or so. Again, the size of the field is really going to help with that compactness too, so help keep the defenders organized. Now, of course, a real field isn't that small, so you need to be careful that you don't do all of this training in this small field and then get out on the bigger field and then expect it to work. So be cautious and definitely expand the session as you move along, and perhaps you may go from a 3v3 into a 4v4 or a 5v5, and in that case then you will definitely be expanding the field. As always, I'll touch on a little bit of organisation. Soccer balls by the side of every goal, ready to play. Coach is in a nice position right here by the goals. You could find yourself down this end too, or if you're just playing on one field, you may find yourself on the sideline. 7v7 field on the left, we're looking at a maximum of about 4 minutes of play. That keeps the interest up. It gives them plenty of time to figure out the game and play successfully, but then it also doesn't prolong the game so that they lose interest or they lose their energy. And then again, the same on the right hand side with the 9v9 game, we're looking at about 6 minutes as a max. Now, you can certainly play less. If players are full of energy and it's not too hot, then you could certainly look to play more if the intensity is still high. But you'll generally find out once the intensity starts to slow, that'll be your time to call it for a water break or call it for a coaching moment. So both games will follow the same rule depending on whether you're 7v7 or 9v9. It doesn't really matter in this situation. I've added in a halfway line. Generally I identify those with just one cone like that, a pointy cone, or whether it's a small cone rolled up inside of another one, to make it a clear marker so the players know where the halfway line is. And I use the halfway line as a reward and also as a reminder for our players of where we are on the field. I'm looking, if we start on the 7v7 field, looking for the blue team right now. If this ball goes into the blue on the left, who would be our number 11, he dribbles inside and scores. Right now, their goal is going to be worth 2 goals. And I give them this reward because in here, I like that the pressure has come in from the red, but what I don't like is that the red has been played around and has no recovery, assuming that the red player right now has stayed in this position. Now, if this red player were to come back and retract and provide some support for our next player who's immediately on the ball, applying pressure, now we have 3 players back behind the halfway line, and that goal would only be worth 1 if they score. So the motivation for the red team to defend collectively is that they would, instead of conceding 2 goals, it would only be 1 as a reward for them. Now, the reward for the red team, of course, is preventing 2 goals, but it also gives them some compactness. So 3 players back in, with our red player having recovered back into this area, we have a solid back 3. It's going to prevent these blues playing through so easily. Now, their reward, of course, for winning the ball back is the ability to attack and then perhaps counter and get in their 2 goals. But my style of play is to hit with a target man. So when I would be playing this, I would be constantly reminding the red team, especially right now, this is going to be the target man. This is the man we're going to try and hit in a game as quickly as we can to break our pressure and move ourselves up the field. It's my favorite way of playing. So whoever wins the ball in here, my first direction would be for them to hit in quickly if they can. If there's space, so for example, our blue player has come through and he's lost the ball in there, and our red player has been able to dribble out into this space, then great, and we found our space, and then we can hit a more safer pass into the goal. But the reward for our team defending is, of course, the ability to score 2 goals, being organised and being compact. There, we break into the space and score. Blue team are going to be demoralised when they lose the ball, but then it also gives them a reminder that they need to get back. So it's a dual-sided game. Both teams get the same risk-reward. Now, the good thing about working in that 3 is it's going to be relative to our team formation. If you play 2 defenders, as most 7v7 teams do, you may have a 4 and a 5, and then the number 8 is going to be your central midfielder. So if that's the way you're going to play, now your 4 and your 5, they need to be communicating with the number 8, because then the number 8 will then know which way they're going to force this blue player, the blue player on the ball. That's what we're worried about. So we've got immediate pressure from our number 8. Pressure on them, we can delay them, is the first principle of defense. Now, Number 8's body position right now is not very good. He's kind of flat-footed. She could be beaten either side. And what I would encourage her to do is to move to one side. So in this example, we've got the ball going to the left, so I'd actually have the number 8 step to their left. So it opens up, it closes off this space here. We don't want the ball going out there. It could go anywhere, and it doesn't help us get set. But it means that we know the ball is going to go there. We're making play predictable. And this is the really good thing about working on our defensive side. Encouraging players to make play predictable, it encourages them to be confident in what they're doing and know what's going to happen. Starting to make clever players who can read the game. So in forcing the ball out, our number 4 can step and apply pressure. They know that the ball is going to go there, and especially as the ball is traveling into that space, that's when the number 4 can step up. But the next good thing is that the number 5 is going to come across and provide support too. Number 8 will then come and drop back into this space here, and we have a nice defensive triangle here. We've got to be careful that we don't get too close and focus solely on the one ball that's in here, because then suddenly we'll find ourselves leaving space where our player was over here and where our player was up in this space here too. But the idea is that the number 4 here can begin to step and press on the ball, hopefully make a mistake on this blue winger, who would be the number 11 for the blue team, make a mistake, win the ball, counter a goal. Now, what we can work on also is when the blue team, and encouraging the blue team to maintain possession, if the ball does go back into what would be the blue number 8 here, now how does the 4, the 5 and the 8 react, and do they get back into their shape so that they're covering each other? Now number 8 can again change their position to make play predictable, and then the 4 and the 5 can react to shift across the field and provide cover for each other. Now that can get a little bit confusing, especially with lots of drawings on the picture. And so just to kind of summarize, we want to get pressure on the ball. Pressure on the ball, and then we're going to make play predictable. So remember, the 8 kind of shifted outside to make the ball. We know the ball is going to go down to the side there. So then instead of playing 1v1 defense as if we were playing a basketball or something like that, we can use our teammates to overload, to double team. This is where, again, the 4 would step in and the 5 would step across to provide cover. So whilst there is a 1v1 right here, there is another player right here ready to step in. If this player is beaten, or if the blue's head goes down on the ball and they turn away or they take a bad touch, then we're ready to pounce on the ball and win it. The principles are going to be the same when looking over here at the 9v9 game, except playing in a 4v4. Now I picked 4v4 because you're more likely to have 16 players, but again you could play a 4v4 and a 3v3 to work on both elements, where you're working on just a back 3 or an organized back 3. Now again, as I said earlier, my favorite way of playing is to play with this target man. This target man is everything in my team, so I'm looking for my 3 players who have won the ball back here. They've been organized, the red has given them the ball up, that's not a problem. Blue team instantly hit the number 9. Number 9 then is able to shield the ball, they hold the ball, and that calls into action our players that are surrounding. So this could be my number 7, it could also be my number 2. Now remember, defenders don't just defend, they also attack. You look at players like Danny Alves and Kyle Walker, they get forward, they assist in attacks, and they score goals too. This is what we're looking for. So number 9, while number 9 holds the ball, you'll see the red player is going to come in and apply pressure to try and win the ball off of him. Well, all he's got to do is shield it and then play this little knock ball to the side that encourages our blue player forward, get them up in the game. Now, the defensive principles are still the same as I said on the 7v7 side or the 3v3 side on the left over here. We're still working on providing cover for our team, making play predictable. So our number 9 is still integral in here in that they're going to help shape the play. So let's say, for example, their position force the ball down to the left. Now what this would have meant is that our blue would have stepped in, blue would have stepped up here to the ball, and then our next blue would be our number 4, because this would be our number 2 and this would be our number 3. Now we're in a shape of, we've got a nice little defensive triangle again where they're connected, they're not too far apart, and it doesn't leave many gaps. Right now they're spread out, assuming that our number 4 has won the ball and number 2 is ready to transition and play forward. We're looking for that defensive triangle to keep ourselves set. I would still have the same rules where you've got to have 3 players back defending in this 4v4 game, because then it still encourages our team effort, but we still maintain our target man up here who is integral in our success. So are your players going to understand this? Are they going to understand the pressure and the cover and then making play predictable? Probably not, especially not in the first time, first practice if you decided to do this with your players. And so I would encourage you just working on our first player and having what we call control and restraint. Now what you'll see with your kids is this red player in the 3v3 game is most likely going to charge this player down, swing and a miss, and miss the ball, which leaves a 3v2 for the blue team, which is great for the blue team but not great for our red team. So I would spend a lot of time focusing on just the control and restraint. They don't have to win the ball. They're just going to make play predictable. And by not trying to win the ball straight away, but actually get in the way of the blue player, it's going to make life much easier for these two reds because they're going to be able to get into a position to provide support without us even beginning to address these issues. So I would then be looking, once we've worked on our control and restraint, is for then working on this body position. Again, as I said earlier, the body position forcing and making play predictable to go one way instead of the other. Instead of standing there with their arms out, as you see our player is doing, you'll see on the right picture, everybody's facing with a predictable play. So all of our red teams are anticipating that the ball, because based on this first guy, is going to go off to the blue right-hand side. And you'll see I've actually kind of broken the pressure a little bit there because we don't have a good shape. I would be encouraging this player to step across a little bit more, kind of up and across, and our red player just to cut this gap because we want the ball to go out to this player here. It's not a problem for us right now. So when the ball goes out there, the red player is able to step across. So working on the same positioning, you'll see the two reds on the 3v3 side, they're kind of shaped up, facing in the middle. They're not really helping each other out. And that all comes from our first player's body shape on pressing the ball. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense for you. You'll see that when just having the players play the game, you'll understand how you can impact your team, whether it is control and restraint that you need to really worry about, or whether it is that cover. So when the ball, like in our 3v3 game, you see the player went out to press the ball. Now perhaps the next level is working on this number 5 to come across and provide some cover. These are the levels that you're going to determine with your own team, and a lot of that will come from watching. And remember the coaching position, they're there watching. You can see the game, you can analyze the game, you can see what your players need, because you may try and constantly address control and restraint, but they may actually do really well at keeping the ball in front of them. So then the next level on from there. But if you have any questions, let me know, and thank you for watching.